Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Well, here we go. Trump reacts to Mexican president's $20 billion demand from Biden administration. I wouldn't give him 10 cents. Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador says flow of migrants will continue if demands are not met, which is basically extortion. And he wants $10 million just to sit down and talk. Now, let's hear what President Trump has to say concerning this, and that way he'll get past the minute mark in this video, and I can say what I really think.
On 60 Minutes, the president of Mexico and says we're not going to shut down our border until you change your policy on Cuba and change your policy on Venezuela. Is it okay for the Mexican president to dictate American policy?
Well, he said much more than that. He said he wants $10 billion essentially just to talk. $10 billion to talk. And that's come out since. And no, that wouldn't happen with me.
What changed?
It's very simple. Lack of respect for the president. They would never say that to me. They would never say, before we even talk, they want $10 billion a year. Mexico just asked for $10 billion a year. They would never ask it. I wouldn't give them 10 cents. The most important day in the history of our country is going to be November 5th. Our country's going bad, and it's going to be changed on November 5th. And if it's not changed, we're not going to have a country anymore.
Now we're past the 1 minute mark. I can say what I really think. Mr. President of Mexico, kiss my ass. It's extortion. It is disrespect for the office of the presidency. And I got to make a simple connect the dots that the disrespect, I should say, of the president of the United States is because it's Joe Biden. And he sees him as weak, which he is. Now, you may not like Trump, you may be lukewarm, you may love him, but he's not wrong. Former President Trump joined One Nation Brian Kilmeade the lack of respect foreign leaders have for President Biden. In 60 Minutes, the president of Mexico says we're not going to shut our border down until you change your policy on Cuba and change your policy on Venezuela. Is it okay for the Mexican president to dictate American policy? Well, of course, Trump said no. He wants $10 billion for essentially just to talk. And that's come out since. No, that wouldn't happen with me with the wall. What changed? Very simple. Lack of respect for the president. They would never say that to me. They would never say before we even talk. And that's true. Whether you like Trump or not, that is all true. Now look what he wants. During the interview, the Mexican president doubled down on his demands previously made in January the Biden administration in exchange for support from the Mexican government to halt the surge of illegal migrants. And they're not just Mexicans. Very small percent now are Mexican nationals. They're from South America, China, Africa, all over the place. It's incredible. To halt the surge of illegal migrants, which they want, among them, lifting sanctions on Cuba and Venezuela. Yeah, that'll go over really big with the Cuban exiles in Florida and around the South. And Venezuela, I mean, in the Western Hemisphere, those are mortal enemies of the United States. Sending Latin American and Caribbean countries $20 billion in aid a year, every year. And here's the big one. And granting legal status to Mexican illegal migrants in the United States. He didn't say citizenship. He said legal status. We all know that the legal and mostly illegal migrants in the United States send billions and billions of dollars to Mexico, to their family. They're here to work. They send money back home. That's all money pouring into the country. That's a huge deal for the Mexican economy, a huge deal. All those billions and billions every year. The Mexican president said the flow of migrants will continue unless the U.S. meets his demands. Kiss my ass, El Presidente. Sign executive order tomorrow. Of course, Biden doesn't have the balls to do it. Sign an executive order that says everything coming in across the Mexican border, I am going to triple tariffs on it all. And if there's no tariffs on any of these goods, I'm going to put one on and make it huge. We'll see. You're going to play chicken with the biggest economy in the world, whose border you share? Are you that effing stupid? Of course, he's a lefty progressive, so of course his thinking is marred anyway. The flow of migrants will continue unless the U.S. meets his demands. Who the hell are you? Trump, and they want the migrants to come in. They want the cheap labor for the big corporations. The world has switched over. It isn't the Republicans that are in bed now with these big corporations. It's the Democrats. Trump concluded the interview with Comey by saying the most important day in the history of our country is going to be November 5th. Our country is going bad, and it's going to be changed on November 5th. If it's not changed, we're not going to have a country anymore. He's exactly right. He's exactly right. Like I said, whether you love Donald Trump, hate him, or somewhere in between, he's not wrong. He's not wrong about the wall. He wasn't wrong about the Remain in Mexico policy. While you're going through the court process seeking asylum, you stay in Mexico or somewhere outside the U.S. That brought down the illegal traffic tremendously. And if President Trump gets elected, he's going to soup up Border Patrol. Believe me, when he says the biggest deportation in the history of the country, he's correct. If you remember, President Obama was called the deportation chief. He deported more people than any president in my lifetime. So they can do it if they want to. They just don't want to. There's a lot at stake here, folks, and this is just one of the major pillars of holding everything back for this country. Putting in cheap goods, taking jobs away from Americans, i.e. auto manufacturing and other things, shipping them off to a country that borders ours, thereby losing hundreds of thousands, if not more, good-paying jobs with benefits, and then bring their product back in here and sell them. No, you've got all kinds of tax breaks, you big corporations, by keeping your factories where they were, mostly in the Midwest. And then when the tax breaks ran out, you said, screw it. And you went to Mexico. There's a price to be paid. When you have the giant corporations that are making billions off the backs of a lot of Mexican workers for cheap, so we can have goods shipped here, and the Democrats are for that, you know things have changed dramatically. He's right. This is a huge election, November 5th. I think the biggest election so far in this country was the re-election of Lincoln, but I digress. It's a huge turning point in the road. And once we go down one of these paths after November 5th, depending on the results, you can never go back. And never is a very, very long time. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.